All right, this just goes to show you that if it's horror adjacent, I'm gonna watch it, even if it's not, even if I'm not its targeted audience. And you can tell from the poster and the trailer, me, this dude, not the targeted audience. Nonetheless, I went in for the horror, any elements of horror that they might have had, and came out shockingly enjoying it. Who would have thought it? If I could describe this movie, it's Jawbreakers meets The Craft. Some people have said like Mean Girls, but I'm definitely leaning more towards Jawbreakers, 1999, 90s sort of cult classic, and then The Craft. The movie follows four 20-something-year-old women who work at a shopping mall. And at night, these girls have a coven, a witch's coven. They go to the back of the store and they have their rituals. There's four of them, and they all, well, at the start there's only three, and they have these witchy rituals and these routines and these customs. And so there's a new addition. Now what's funny is they're called forbidden fruits because they all have names of fruits. It's synonymous with their personality. They all have names of fruits, hence forbidden fruits, right? And there's a new character. There's a new woman in town, and she is included reluctantly by the leader. She is brought in to become one of the forbidden fruit. And there's more to that story than that. Like there's more to that story. There's actually a bit of a mystery here that is not reinforced at the beginning, and it becomes more prominent towards the end. But there is a mystery as to why this girl has been included into the group. She has an objective that she's trying to complete, and therefore she's trying to infiltrate this witch's coven. Very light on story, but it does come full circle at the end, which is where it picked up for me. I think around the last, like, it's an hour and a half, so hour and 30-minute plus movie. I think it's like hour and 48, I believe. But it really picked up for me in the last 40 minutes. And not to say there's nothing happening in the first hour that I didn't enjoy. There's some things. I think when I went into this movie, I was expecting something leaning towards The Craft. And you get a little bit more Jawbreaker. The Craft stuff comes in later on, third act. And what kept me kind of focused on these characters and the film was, one, the look. The look of it is very, very 90s indie. Like, it looks like an indie film from the 90s, and that's not a knock to it. It looks good. It's shot well. It's interesting how they made an entire mall, because the whole movie takes place in a mall. They made an entire mall look like a setting. Like, it looks like a real mall, but it's also stylistic. Their store, very stylistic. The way that they dress, the set design and the costume design, indicative of each girl's personality, was really great. The cast was awesome. They ate up the screen. They chewed up the screen, playing their archetypes. Victoria Pedretti, she played the ditzy blonde, was actually my favorite character. She has a little bit more depth than they lead on at the start. It's her character's the most fun. She has a lot of the funny one-liners, and she has the biggest turn of character towards the end. So she was great. I did not expect her to see her. I did not expect to see her in a role like that. Lily Reinhart was awesome as the lead witch coven, or as the lead witch in the coven. She is unsettling, and not in like, oh, spooky, but just the way that she lingers before she says a line and stares at someone, or the way that someone's talking, then she looks. She does a lot of things with her eyes, and it made her an interesting character to watch because she's so calm. She's so, like, she's just, you could tell that as you're talking, she's just disassembling your personality. she's tearing you apart, deconstructing you, trying to figure out your weaknesses. She's just a very analytical character, so that then she can come back and kind of manipulate you. So she was great, and the rest of the cast was awesome. But them two particularly really were the catch in the film. Now, I heard the director say that this movie's about sisterhood, and I've also heard people say ain't no way, and I gotta agree. If this is the idea of sisterhood, man, women do really gotta have it rough, like rough, man. Because if every turn of this movie is Lili Reinhart's character, Cherry, she is, you realize that she's slowly manipulating every single one of the ladies in this witch coven. They can't have boyfriends. That's against coven law. They have to be dressed a certain way because they have to talk to men with emojis. Only emojis, man. Like, this movie is like a secret window into, I guess, the hierarchy in female relationships and how that affects external relationships with other people in their lives, including men, particularly men. There's one line where she's like, you can only respond to men and certain emojis, and she lists the emojis, and I'm like, holy shit, that's why. And you slowly figure out that every single one of these characters is playing a character within the movie to appease her. They're trying to appease her, and I think if there's one thing that really got me, was just how trifling she was to her group of friends who were loyal to a fault. But then when the new girl comes in and she's still not indoctrinated into this whole coven in a way that makes her feel like she is, Cherry's confidant, she pulls towards the other girls and tries to get their loyalty. And these girls are willing to talk shit about Cherry the moment they feel safe with the new girl. So it's like, y'all ain't shit. I mean, yeah, she ain't shit, but y'all ain't shit because you're not telling her these, like, you can't tell her these things. So you're instead of telling it to her face, you're telling it to her back. And it just, there's this sort of relationship interplay between all these women that I thought was less a commentary on sisterhood and more commentary on toxic femininity, which was fucking interesting, because you usually just get movies about men, toxic masculinity. Yeah, we get it. We're toxic, whatever. But this movie, written and directed by a woman, seemed very much about that. Like, it's almost like she's pointing out the things she doesn't like in women groups. And it was interesting to see, because none of this is positive. Like, you're watching it and you're like, these girls are basically keeping their mouths shut to not express, because they don't want to feel left out of this group created by Cherry. And there's all these other deeper things that they're all dealing with personally. They have this fitting room, and it's basically their confessional. They call it their confessional, and they talk to Marilyn Monroe. It's so silly, but listen, they talk to Marilyn Monroe, and they talk to her like she's the goddess, right? And they talk to her like she's goddess. And it's in this moment that you realize, like, this is satirical. It's very much satire. It's also taking from real life experiences and enhancing them for comedic effect, but then also saying something about what toxic femininity could look like. And I was like, man, fuck. I don't see the sisterhood in it. If this is sisterhood, that's fucking crazy. We start focusing on the witch stuff later on. There's a spell that's cast, and it's meant to find who the snake is. And because I'm assuming the spell didn't have enough words of specificity, it kind of went wrong. And I thought that was a clever way of going like, wait, what's the spell trying to say? That no one can be trusted, or that's the snake, or that's the snake? Because it was meant to kill the person and harm the person that is the snake in the group. But when no one's safe, you're like, so what are you trying to say? Can no one be trusted? Is everyone a snake? Because we know both sides. We know Cherry's side, who has a very tragic history, and a secret that she had that comes full bore at the end that makes her take a turn for like fucked up at witch levels of fucked. Like, she just goes crazy. She just goes crazy. And that's when, up until that point, the movie was kind of lacking in the witchcraft part for me. I was like, I want a little bit more of that. Like, give me more, please. Give me. And then towards the end, it gave me that. It's definitely more grounded than The Craft. The Craft is more like, you know, fucking eyeliner, bats, and knives. And this is more like, you know, bubblegum, Bratz dolls, and like the occasional blood splatter. But it gets there. It does get there. So I kind of got what I wanted, but it was just interesting to watch this interplay between these women and kind of learn something. I'm learned, if you will, about the relationships of, and it's funny because if you have women in your life and you just so happen to, you know, you be the confidant that gets to hear these conversations, or maybe it's from your cousin, or maybe it is from your friends or your girlfriend, a lot of the things that they've said that they'll, you know, about their best friends that maybe they don't like as much, but they still call their best friend. A lot of that stuff is in this movie. So for me, I was like, huh, they made a whole movie on gossip, like real gossip that I've heard. Like, it's not a conspiracy anymore. It was also leaning towards Jennifer's Body, which I forget how. I know that Jennifer's Body popped up in one of the trailers. I think it's like either produced by or something, but Jennifer's Body is a big influence of this, and you can tell. And I enjoyed Jennifer's Body when I saw that in theaters. I really did love that movie, because that movie had a good balance of, you know, peak high school horror, you know, demon succubi, guys getting fucking killed, and a kick-ass ending. And I was all about that movie when that came out back in the day. So this isn't leaning towards that, though. It's not that over top, but there's some fun horror bits, and there's I think the characters are fun enough that I actually found myself more enjoying it than not. And anytime I didn't enjoy something, I was like, yeah, the movie's not really for me. If you're a girl, you know, fucking watch it and tell me if it's scary to you. Not the horror parts, but just the female interplay relationship. Like, is that... Because yeah, man, that's terrifying. That's really scary. That part was scariest. Yeah, man. Anyway, I guess that's my review for Forbidden Fruits. I hope you enjoyed hearing me speak about something I have no business speaking on. It's a fun bubblegum with a dead rodent inside the bubblegum kind of movie. Does that make sense to you? It makes sense to me. I'm trying to, like, the duality of fucked up shit and cute preppy shit. It's in one. Thanks for showing up, and I will see you guys at the movies. At the movies. At the movies. I'm fucking weird, man. Fuck.